Welcome to GameThinkTalk Live. I'm your host, Matt Falvey, from a90skid.com, where you can check out news, reviews, all that kind of stuff. We're going to be talking about what happened with EA. Big news now from EA. So, Cookie Sauvage is here, by the way. She says, have a nice day, night. She's going to go to bed. It's 4:28 a.m. Well, thanks for popping by, Cookie. Very nice of you. So the big deal is EA and these microtransactions. Let's have a quick recap of what's been going on with that. So EA had the most downvoted Reddit comment of all time in all-time Reddit history. Hello to you, Corey Lavoie. I was just talking to you in Discord. It seems so weird for me to say it now, but hello to you. When they had basically said that these microtransactions that are in the game are there to promote a feeling of progression, a feeling of achievement. Hey to Kazi, hey to Blaze Edge. Cookie beat us. She didn't even know why. She just showed up. EA didn't say that. That's me again saying this. So that was a big thing. The most downvoted comment ever. And the problem was that these loot boxes that were going to be coming in, they're going to not only govern popular characters like Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, they're also going to be in charge of star cards. Basically, 95% of all the star cards are going to be from these loot crates. Star cards, you're allowed to give 3 of those to each of your... You can have 3 at a time on a character, and they can do anything from increased damage by like 5%, 10%, or they could give you a massive increase in command points, which means while you're playing an online competitive match, you are going to get command points a lot faster than the other team if you have these star cards. And the command points allow you to get like big vehicles and heroes and so on and so forth. Every time you're killed by somebody in a Battlefront 2 match, it's going to show up and tell you this guy had, or girl, had all of the maxed out cards. It had a rare gun you couldn't have. So maybe you started shooting first, but maybe they have this rare card that they got from a loot crate or paid money to get in this loot crate, because the loot crates take so many hours to get that it's really not feasible at this point for people to put that much time in to get those. There will be a significant advantage for people that are buying these loot crates. And you know what? Even not buying the loot crates is still a ridiculous amount of time to get a lot of these things. For example, Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker were going to take, I think, 40 hours or so. They were previously at 60,000 credits for you to get a Luke Skywalker Darth Vader. EA brought that down after the whole Reddit controversy down to 15,000 for them. Your second tier heroes, you got Leia, you got Chewbacca, you got the Emperor. They were at 40,000 credits. They were brought down to 10,000. Now, people are saying that in every match, they're getting roughly 250 to 280 credits. So you can see that that's a lot of time. If you have 250 credits, for you to get a Luke would take you, even with the reduced cost, 53 games. And then less, 45 or so for you to get Leia. That's a lot of games. That's a lot of playing. Now, the hero cards are one thing, but it's the star cards that are the other. So they drop the cost of these hero cards significantly, but really what's going to matter for you more in being competitive are the star cards, and that's where the big problem is. So they had done 75%. And now the big news coming out today is that EA released this big statement. Let's read it together. Thank you to everyone in our community for being the passionate fans that you are. Our goal has always been to create the best possible game for all of you, devoted Star Wars fans and game players alike. We've also had an ongoing commitment to constantly listen, tune, and evolve the experience as it grows. You've seen this with both the major adjustments and polish we have made over the past several weeks. But as we approach the worldwide launch, it's clear that many of you feel there are still challenges in the design. Blah, blah, blah. People, potentially giving players unfair advantages. We've heard that this is overshadowing an otherwise great game. This was never our intention. Sorry we didn't get this right. We hear you loud and clear, so we're turning off all in-game purchases. We will now spend more time listening, adjusting, balancing, and tuning. This means that the option to purchase crystals, Final Fantasy, in the game is now offline, and all progression will be earned through gameplay. The ability to purchase crystals in-game will become available at a later date, only after we've made changes to the game. We'll share more details as we work through this. We've created a game that's built on your input, and it will continue to evolve and grow. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is 3 times the size of the previous game, bringing life brand new Star Wars story, space battles, epic new multiplayer experiences across all 3 Star Wars eras. Let's just delete that second one. With more free content to come, we want you to enjoy it, so please keep your thoughts coming. We'll keep you updated on our progress. So the big things here are, I think the biggest thing is that fan uproar has caused EA to make sweeping change one day, hours before launch, actually. It's going to be launching, I guess, at midnight tonight. People who pre-ordered it, I think, are already playing. So they decided to just remove the purchases but keep the loot crates. So that is a great thing, to remove the purchases. However, they did say, somebody was mentioning to me that temporary was the big one, but where is that in here? Let's do a little Control F on that. By the way, hello, Jeremy B. So how's everybody feeling about this? What does this mean to people? Let's get your feedback out there. I don't see the word temporary in this statement at all. I've seen other people say that. I see. The ability to purchase crystals in-game will become available at a later date, only after we've made changes to the game. So that's the biggest thing, is that we've had a precedent set in terms of fan uproar has caused a change, has caused EA to change their mandate when it comes to microtransactions. This could have been, and actually everything that happens here is going to be probably a big precedent setter. EA is one of the biggest players in the game. Microtransactions are the way that the most successful games in the world are making their money. Kazi says, Belgium's gambling regulators are investigating Battlefront 2 loot at the moment, too. There you go as well. I mean, in Europe, they had some, there was some game that had something removed. I think it was, actually, this is different. Steam, on sort of a related note, Steam had to allow people to refund games because of a European law that was set in place that was saying, they're set in place. It was a European law that forced Steam to have these refunds. So will they eventually get to PSN? Hopefully, because PlayStation is horrible when it comes to refunds. Even if you buy something by accident, you are hard pressed to get a refund. So if Kazi's saying that Belgium's gambling regulators are investigating Battlefront 2 at the moment, he thinks it might not just be a coincidence that they're pulling out right before this investigation. If the game wasn't releasing tonight, and they're I would like to see the numbers on how many people canceled pre-orders, because that was the big sort of trend along Reddit, was people saying cancel those pre-orders. And anyways, I mean, why would you pre-order a game in the digital age? It made sense to pre-order things 10 years ago when they didn't have a lot of physical copies. But I mean, even still, now in the days of GameStop and EB Games, there are thousands of copies of these games at these stores. That's why you see them in the bargain bin a couple months later. There's no need to pre-order. They try to entice you by letting you play a couple of these early. You might get sucked up in the hype if you think, I'm gonna like this. I'm gonna buy this game anyway and find it for myself. Then yeah, I can see why you would do a pre-order. But pre-order just enables these companies. Corey says, I feel if you want to do loot boxes on a game you paid full price for, you make it cosmetic only and not something that you can give you an unfair advantage over somewhere else. Exactly. That's why I love the loot boxes in Overwatch, for two reasons. Number one, they seem to release at a nice rate. It takes about like an hour of play and you end up with a loot box. Maybe less than that. Like, it's not a stretch to just sit down in a game of Overwatch, one play session, play until you get your loot box, call it a night. And then if you get something good in that loot box, you go on. So that was a lot faster than what Battlefront is doing, where they're only getting 250 credits per, and those crates will cost you about 4,000 credits if you want to get the crates because there's three different types of crates in Battlefront 2. You've got your hero crates, you've got cosmetics, I believe, and then you got sort of like, or crafting crates, and then you got sort of like a general catch-all. And the general catch-all is what is probably the most valuable to people, because that's what the star cards are. If you're getting killed all the time because Kazi over here has got rapid fire star card, or he's doing extra damage star card, so if you draw at the same time, or you might even have 8% faster reflexes than Kazi, but that dirty Australian Kazi comes out with a 10% extra star card, that's not fair. So if you see that, and every time on your kill cam it comes up, and you see Kazi's got that 10%, Kazi's got that 10%, you're going to be trying to get those loot crates. So 4,000 credits for one of those, 250 credits per. So 250 credits, 4 of those is 1,000, 16 games you got to play. That's a lot of Battlefront 2 just to get a loot crate that might give you something cosmetic, that might give you something that's not competitive. We've all, in Overwatch, I mean, anyone that's played Overwatch has opened up a crate and gotten nothing. But because it's cosmetic, I don't think you really care. But if you're looking for that competitive edge and something comes out and it's all cosmetic, you might be tempted at that moment, I'm going to buy something. And if somebody keeps beating you with that extra damage star card, you are reminded you have lost. This person is better. Here's how you could have won. It's like when you play Hearthstone and somebody beats you with a better card. It is encouraging you to buy those packs, and not just letting you purchase things outright, but making you purchase packs or loot crates, which are the same thing, is preying on a gambling mentality. It's preying on the slot machine's scratch and win lotto ticket. It's a gambling psychology that makes you think all I need is one. If they were straight up going to tell you, well, you just need to buy this many cards and you're guaranteed to get this rare card, you would be maybe discouraged not to do it. But to believe that it's always the next one will lead you to maybe buy one, maybe buy another, maybe buy another. And sooner or later you're sitting there and you've spent 2, 3, 4, 10 times as much, and you're left with this regret, this disappointment. And there are people that are susceptible to, that are more addictive in nature and that are susceptible to gambling. And they are preying on whales to make money. Now, we see this in, as I said earlier, in all the most profitable games in the world. But the biggest difference is that these games are free to play. So EA is selling a full-priced game and then putting in the microtransactions and making them competitive, which is a very, very big problem. Also, another big problem they have with this is that they are marketing this game because of Star Wars. If you just called this Battlefield Light in space, nobody would buy it. We've seen that generally the first-person shooter crowd is not too into sci-fi. They didn't like Infinity War. They wanted to get back to boots on the ground. World War II, Call of Duty's doing way better. People like that classic style, but it's Star Wars. So people buy it because they think, I want to be Luke Skywalker. I want to be Darth Vader. That's what they're going to lock behind the paywall. Put those guys on the cover. Put them in the trailer. Make that the enticement of it, and then lock them away. So it's basically false advertising in a way. Sven Butcher says, or Seven Butcher, too bad that they didn't do this 3 days ago. There's already full level whales out there. Exactly, because you have the pre-order people that were able to play earlier. Thank you, Seven, for bringing that up, because I wasn't sure. So you already have people that are out there. They're full on blown out. Now that's EA trying to entice you to buy their games, to pre-order the games, so that the next time this comes out, you're going to be thinking, oh, I should have pre-ordered. I would have had that competitive edge that all the pre-order people have. Corey says even loot boxes done like that are fine. Kazi says, but it's still pay to get new characters. You can pay $35 and get all the characters. Corey says for orcs. Oh, I see, because Corey said orcs loot boxes are nice when you get multiple of the same item in stacks, allowing you to level up the item. And even when you're maxed an item out, then gets changed into other currency typed. You know, that's a way to do it. And if you want to have competitive, loot boxes that affect the competitive balance of the game, then it better be a free-to-play game. Because if it's a free-to-play game, even though it's still predatory in nature and how they make their money, because you, like Seven says, you got these full-level whales walking around, they are banking on people to spend an irresponsible amount of money. That's how they make their profit. The majority of the profit comes from people spending irresponsible amounts. They're not interested in the Corey Lavois that grind it out, have a fun time grinding it out, and just collect what comes their way, and don't spend a ridiculous amount of money. There's an interesting interview Game Informer did with either Jay from Jay and Silent Bob, and they were asking him, well, what video games do you play? And he said, because he's a dad, the only one he plays is on his phone or his tablet. He plays it on his iPad, and it's some sort of like collectible card game. I think it's a DC Comics collectible card game. And 1 month he said he spent $9,000 on this game. I mean, he has more disposable income than most people, but it is very possible to do that. And it's possible for people to just you are being so much of this game experience is programming you and encouraging you to spend money. And when it's a competitive game and you're dishing out competitive advantages, it's bad all around. But we already talked about that last week, and we've talked about that now. But I guess the big thing is that EA's is removing this. So EA's going to see what's going to happen. We got two scenarios. Either they leave the loot boxes out. No, they've already said they're going to allow you to buy them later on. So that's the big problem. That's the huge problem here. Like Seven Butcher said, they have already allowed pre-order people to come in and get loaded up for bear. So this is like sitting down at a chessboard and it's your first time playing chess. All you get are pawns. Your opponent pre-ordered chess. He gets the king, he gets the queen, he gets the knights, he gets bishops and rooks, castles, and he's dominating you because you only have pawns, but they get the queens. And that's not very fun for competitive balance, is it? At all. Aru saying, how do I beat this Boba Fett with all purple star cards? He's already paid to win. Exactly. So it's, like Seven says, it's too late at this point. The positives out of this are that the change has been effected and that EA has inflicted a huge change that is going to lose them money. Number one, they have to spend the resources. Actually, God, don't you feel bad for the developers on this? They've already been probably dealing with crunch on this game for the last, I would assume the last 3 months, 6 months of this project have been crazy amounts of crunch. And now, right before launch, the big bosses are coming down on dice and saying, by the way, we need you to take out the in-game purchases. That might not be too much of a developmental thing because it's still there. They're just removing some of that from the UI, but somebody's still got to go in there and gray out those boxes. Kazi thinks for sure it's just a temporary measure to get around the investigation. And as soon as that investigation is in, they could come in. And that could very well be the case. That would be an advantage for them. I think that they have it like this as a show of goodwill. They reduced it by 75%. They wanted that to be good news. It's like someone saying, I'm going to kill all of your family. You go, don't kill all my family. Go, look, I'm going to reduce the amount of family members of yours that I kill by 75%. 75%. This offer goes off the table tonight. That's how nice we are here at EA. But that didn't work. That gave them a bit of good news, but it wasn't enough. So they're removing it altogether. That's unprecedented. We've never really seen that. But when you have the most downvoted comment in, wow, it sounded very Canadian there when I said downvoted comment in Reddit history, EA is looking to make some big changes. But in the end, I think the bottom line for me is that the whole system that they have for these star cards, for these loot crates, is bad, whether you can buy them or not. You shouldn't have a competitive advantage from basically anything in a game. That's why you could never take Battlefront as a serious competitive game, because there's too many variables and there's too many ways for people to have an advantage. And once you have that, it's gone. Overwatch gets it. I'm assuming most MOBAs get it. That's why these games are taken seriously, because the first time you use Tracer, as opposed to the 9,000th time you've used Tracer, the only difference is that you might be slightly getting sick of her catchphrases, but they've probably designed those to psychologically make you feel good about them anyway. So, Kazi's thinking as soon as the investigation becomes publicly known, down goes those microtransactions. All right, we can remove this big black display and we can get our chat back up on the screen. All right, did anyone have anything else to add, to talk about? I don't really think there's much we can do here other than speculate, and as much as speculation is fun, there's nothing else we can really add. So yeah, I guess that is pretty much going to be it for this. That was this episode of Game Think Talk Live. Unless an interesting question or a quantity comes on through, my final thoughts on it are, I love that this happened. There were going to be a lot of, you don't think that there are a ton of companies, basically every big game company out there is watching, ooh, look what EA just did. They put lots of microtransactions in their game. They are on their way to make some big money with this game. I mean, you know where this comes from. Other than just mobile games that are making a killing off of microtransactions, EA's biggest franchise, their biggest moneymaker, is Ultimate Team in the sports, in their sports games, NBA, NHL, NFL, all that crap. They have these Ultimate Team modes where you buy cards and you're trying to get these rare players because if you get a rare player, he's going to have a 99 rating, and you might be stuck with old 56 rating Fat Joe. But if Kazi's got the best player, if Kazi's got LeBron James, and Jason Goldman has Sonic, and Sonic is not a basketball player no matter how fast he is, it's not going to be fair. That's what makes the money. There was an interesting part in the story that Kotaku was talking about with Amy Hennig's studio that was canned, and they said that they were constantly dealing with EA breathing down their necks saying, Ultimate Team makes us this much money a year. How are you going to do that? I think it was making them $1 billion a year just from Ultimate Team. That's a franchise they can put out every single year. They barely add anything new. Sometimes they take modes away, then they bring them back the next year. All is forgiven. They have a monopoly on NFL and NHL. And they're making $1 billion a year out of this stuff. And they're getting whales, and they're getting people in a competitive mode buying an advantage or grinding out an advantage and getting tired of grinding it out because these are people that have jobs and they can't spend 40 hours a week grinding out these cards. Aru says, there is a pre-made chasing all the new players away. They all paid in weekend. There is a pre-made chasing all the new players away. They all paid in weekend. That is true. The pre-order people got in, and EA, they obviously didn't want to time it this way, but it just happened. They're in damage control right now, so this whole plan is now screwed up for them. Corey says, I wonder if other companies will be doing this in the future or looking at it as a way to make more money. That's the thing, is that they were going to watch this and see what happened. Before EA came out and said, we're going to do away with these, we're going to do away with the in-game purchases for now and bring them back later, I thought, even if half the people that pre-ordered Battlefront 2 got rid of those pre-orders, that's a lot of money. But over time, if they get some whales, like Seven Butcher saying, if they get the galactic whale hunt, long term, they might make more money off this game if less people buy it. Because that's the whole point of a free-to-play game. You don't need the money up front. You get the money from them after. So they might have survived if they would have just stuck to their guns and they must have had a serious amount of people cancel their pre-orders for them to do this, or been seriously worried about their PR image. EA was one of the most hated companies in the last 5 or 10 years, with them buying up everyone's favorite, everyone's very well liked indie studios like Westwood Studios, and then just canning them and not putting and just like dusting those great IPs people love. Seven Butcher would be a nice new game mode, the Galactic Whale Hunt. Corey says, everyone who buys the game now will see who's paid and who hasn't, and that will make some people leave. That's true. It is an absolute mess right now. They're hoping, their best case scenario is that people are going to say, oh, EA really cares. This is a good sign. It didn't work. It obviously didn't. It's a mess right now because they're doing this at the last second, at the final few hours before this game launches to the non-pre-order people. But it's a good sign. The fans have inflicted a change. EA changed. Because microtransactions are king. And it's not just EA that does this. Rockstar, everyone's favorite badass studio that doesn't go to E3, that does their own thing, that makes great games, that defy the rules, that defy game bans. Rockstar's been making a lot of money off of microtransactions on Grand Theft Auto 5 for years. Where Grand Theft Auto 5 is constantly in the top 10 of games sold. And it came out 2 years ago, 3 years ago, because of these microtransactions and because of these whales. They don't even hide the fact of what they're looking for. You can buy whale shark money cards. So people have seen this. That's why Red Dead Redemption is going to have a hugely focused online mode. The Red Dead Redemption 2, that is. Kazi's saying they're doing this because they see it as the better choice. They see it as the better choice. They definitely see it as the better choice now. They're going with it. They want to get back. They want to get back some goodwill. They must have had so many cancellations on them. Aru says, sitting 1v4 because we was getting shreked. So what happened, Aru? You guys were playing against the purple star card, people wrecking you, and then everybody just left. Everybody just ditched, because what's the point? At that point, it's like there's no fun in this anymore. Kazi says, why would that be? With all their marketing team, they come to the decision that it's better to pull out the micro now. Just finds that odd. Aru says they all just left. And that is the big problem. That's the biggest problem here. And we're going to keep seeing that. I mean, all in all, like, the microtransactions are the biggest deal right now, but I still find even grinding out these competitive cards. That's why I don't like very many competitive shooters anymore, because they're just unbalanced in this way. Does Battlefront 2 even have a campaign? Yes, it does. Apparently it takes about 4 hours to complete, and it is passable. See, DICE and EA, they don't even understand what people missed about the original Battlefront games. People didn't care about it. People didn't need a first-person, third-person campaign. They wanted to play Galactic Conquest offline with a friend, or even online, where I control an army and you control an army. We go head-to-head. Or we're both in the same army. They wanted to have, what was it, like 30 versus 30 or 60 versus 60 or 120 player matches. They want to fly an X-Wing, land on a Star Destroyer, kill some Imperials, steal a TIE Fighter, fly back out seamlessly. They want to have great controls on the starships. They don't want to have star cards changing and disrupting the competitive balance. Nobody wants to die to somebody that has a competitive advantage. And EA knows this, and that is how they're planning on getting more money out of you. They know that nobody wants that. They're banking on you being frustrated from this so they can take your money, so that you pay to not be frustrated. They're not trying to give you a good time. They're trying to give you a bad time with the option for you to buy a better time, is what they're doing. Darkness misses the days of having cheat codes in games. Aru says, behind a mega grind and a paywall. When you do complete the Battlefront 2 campaign, you get a Kylo Ren unlock. You get a few other things, and then you get maybe 1,000 credits or something. It's like 5 credits worth. Also, if you play offline, you can collect 100 credits per offline match, but it's capped at 500 a day. So offline players can only get as much as online players get by playing 2 games. But online players can loop that. There is no cap. There is no limit. They didn't want people to exploit it. They didn't want people to exploit the system by having fun on their own. Even though, and the points do vary whether you win or you lose, but most people I've seen have commented and said, I'm getting between 250 and 280. Actually, Aru, so you've been playing it. So, how many credits have you been getting? Between 250 280 per match? Kazi's saying, why are they not just alt skins? Because they want you to lose to someone that has better star cards. They want you to feel frustrated, and they want you to pay to not be frustrated. That's why. It's like going to a dentist and you pay him $1,000 to work on your teeth, and he starts doing it and it hurts. You go, why are you hurting me? And he says, oh, well, if you want the painkiller, that's extra. So what do you want to do about it? Should we just keep drilling into your teeth? Or do you want to buy the star card that gives you Novocaine? It's awful. It's disgusting. It's predatory. But out of all this doom and gloom, the one shining light is that people have made a change. So all it takes is for you to go to Reddit and downvote something 390,000 times. The hilarious thing is that EA tried to do damage control. They sent in 3 developers, or they sent in 3 people. I don't know if they were all from DICE or 2 were from DICE and 1 from EA to do a Reddit Ask Me Anything. The answers from these 3 DICE and EA people were so downvoted, you couldn't even find the answers. So somebody had to you had to actually just click on their profiles and then look at all their answers through there. They didn't give anything other than, we're committed to listening and to fine-tuning, and what could they say? They're developers. They just said the harshest thing is that these people gave years of their life to make Battlefront 2. It's a good-looking game. I've heard that the controls are a lot better. I've heard that there are a lot more modes in multiplayer. And then I'm assuming it's EA that comes in and says, yeah, and we're going to do microtransactions until they tell us not to. Aru says, the guy even told me just buy crates, bro. Exactly. They've already converted so many people. I love Star Wars a lot. Star Wars will always be... If anyone asks me my favorite movie, it's always, sure, after Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back and Star Wars A New Hope. And maybe Return of the Jedi in that top 3. I don't know. Return of the Jedi is a bit saggy in the middle. But the beginning and the end, oh baby, they're so good. And in the middle, you can just kind of fast forward through all the Ewok stuff. You think the devs push for this? I don't think so. Devs... Here's the thing. A lot of developer studios they'll get more money. They'll get a bonus if their game hits a certain rating on Metacritic. If they get 80 on a Metacritic or 84, 85 on a Metacritic, they'll all get more money. So developers just want the game to get rated highly. And they're not worried about player retention. They're not worried about making a game as a service. They just want to make a great game. So people shouldn't be taking it out on the developers at all. Or anyone else other than EA. This is an EA thing. EA puts this stuff in. And as much as I saw Battlefront and how great it looked, how damn great it looked, and that it was coming back, and then and then I even saw that it was DICE making it. I thought, all right, DICE makes Battlefield. That should be great. Then I saw the first interviews DICE was doing, and they were saying how scared they were to screw it up. And I thought, well, that could be a good thing because they're worried about not doing a great job. But it could also be a bad thing because DICE was saying way back before the first Battlefront came out in 2015, they said, we're so worried about messing it up, we're just going to focus on what we know, which is multiplayer. And I thought, I don't want to play multiplayer at all. I'm not great at shooters. Playing multiplayer when you suck at shooters, even in a game, even an Overwatch, can eventually be kind of a draining thing. And they made a multiplayer, and they didn't put anything in for the offline player to just play with a friend, or even an online player where me and Kazi could just play and have some fun like the old games. They completely missed the point. The Starship control was awful. The maps were terribly designed, bland, open areas. It's just pew, 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 pistol, 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 all over the place. Hey, Little Dorket is taking Kazi's side of this, saying that Battlefront's microtransaction and loot boxes are being investigated by the Belgian Gaming Commission. So, Kazi's saying, that's right. Super Gamecast chimes in with an arcade is local only, with a question mark. Sure. What do you mean? Do you mean like pertaining to what I said about because earlier, just 5 minutes ago or 2 minutes ago, Super Gamecast 64, which is Matthew Owen, who did our Mario Party, 100 edition or whatever. Anyways, that review about Mario Party, the 100 party, that's narrated by him on our site. Yeah, they are adding more of that stuff, but it's not enough. They're not focusing on, instead of this whole like campaign, they should have put all those resources into a great Galactic Conquest mode is what they really should have done, and focus more on what made the first one great. This one had a lot of potential, and from the reviews I've read, I read Andrew Reiner from Game Informer saying Ah, yes. Well, you popped in midstream there, out of context, Matty boy, and yeah, I was talking about the first one. So, oh, I see. So you heard people getting mad that arcade mode was only local when before it was online and local. Yeah, I mean, it would make sense that in this age, that couch co-op in many ways has been replaced by online. But I think there's a difference between, say, me and a friend playing online and us having to, and with bots, as opposed to us having to always play with always multiplayer, all human players. That's a big difference. I would love to be able to play with another friend and just play like a Galactic Conquest mode. Either, like I said earlier, either two of us controlling a team together, or me heading an army, them heading an army. That's what I want to do. I'm not great at these shooters. I'm not great at online games. I don't want to be forced to always play against other humans. Other people do, and they want to be competitive with it. But when you introduce boxes that change competitive balance, then it's not a serious competitive game anymore. It's, I don't know what it is. It's like it's not even a casual fun romp because it's not fair that these people have more than you. So what is it? It's not seriously competitive. It's not a casual fun romp. It is EA trying to make you buy loot crates. And now they're not even going to let you buy loot crates. Temporarily, they're going to bring that back in. They don't have time to remove the loot crate system. All they have time for is to gray out a box that lets you buy it. Will this mean that they're going to just bring it back in and say, okay, everybody bought it, thanks a lot, no refunds? Or does this mean they're going to take their time and they're going to remove the entire crate system? Wouldn't you feel pissed if you bought this game and you put in 40 hours to unlock 80 hours, you put in months of gaming to unlock everything, and then they remove that system? It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And it being this mess, even though it's awful, is still a good thing. Change has been effected. That's a great thing. Super Game Pass 64 is saying he's not playing Battlefront 2, refuses to cover its inexcusable cooldown timers on credit gains. Sorry, no. Kazi's ribbing him saying you need to get one of everything for a good review. Auru is saying not fair gameplay designed at gnawing you until you cave. That is true. Exactly. You got to prioritize out there. This is a golden age of gaming, no matter how horrible it may seem with microtransactions coming in. And this is why I'm saying this is a huge precedent. If EA completely got away with this, you would see this from a lot more people. Ubisoft would be getting in on it. Bethesda might put out Elder Scrolls, but you can only get crappy items until you pay for it. The whole problem with it is that it's competitive. Because I was thinking, all right, you have to grind out so you can play as Luke Skywalker. Now, we play Final Fantasy a lot on this channel. Is it not the same thing that we have to play the game for 25 hours before we get some of the most powerful spells? Maybe 40 hours before we get the most powerful spells? Is it not the same thing that in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, one of the last great Star Wars games, a single-player offline RPG made by BioWare, that is still good, and you should go back and play. Is it not the same that you have to play about half that game before you even get to touch a lightsaber or have force powers? Is that not the same? So shouldn't it be okay that you have to have a progression system here to unlock being Darth Vader or Luke? See, no, it's not the same because it's competitive. And no, it's not the same because they are calling this game Star Wars. The trailers are full of people playing as Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. It's not about being a stormtrooper or a droid from the crappy 1, 2, 3 trilogy. They are selling you this, and then right when you go to buy it and hand the money, they take half of it away. They go, you need to buy more. It's like buying a sandwich. And as you buy the sandwich and you put your hand on it, they keep their hand on it and they rip half the sandwich away. And they go, no, you don't get this part. You can only have the bread, and we're keeping all the condiments. So enjoy your dry bread. If you want the mayonnaise and the honey garlic sauce, well then you better pay up. Or you can grind it out. You can mop the floor for 40 hours. And we won't even guarantee we're going to give you the mustard. We're going to give you a chance to get the mustard. You might open up your loot crate and there's no mustard. There's napkins. There's a fancy new skin for that sandwich. But there's no mustard in there, even though that's all you really, really want. So you better buy another one. All right. Kazi's saying Pokemon's competitive. Super Gamecast 64. Darth Vader is playable in the preload stage in Battlefront 1. There you go. They hand it out to you and then they take it away. They're like drug dealers that give you a little taste, get you hooked on it, and then they take it away. Super Gamecast is also saying the problem is they lowered the credits required to get the heroes, but they also lowered your credit gains. Matt, that's his name. Super Gamecast 64 is Matthew Owen here. And this reminds me of when I'm in school, elementary school, and they divided the class up into 4 teams. And they said, at the end of the month, whatever team has the most points gets pizza. And you're a little kid, so you love pizza. I mean, I like pizza now. And our team did something good, so they go 10 points to Matt's team. And then the other team said something good, and they go 10 points to you as well. And then someone else said something, and she goes, guess what? Everyone gets 10 points. And all the idiots cheered. They all cheered. All the idiots cheered. And I was the only one saying, do you realize that if we all get 10 points, we all get nothing? It's a zero-sum game, as Super Gamecast puts it so well. Sven Butcher says, refund the money for the crystals, reset stats for everyone, and make EA apologize for their mistake. The only way to reset balance. End of the whale days. Super Gamecast 64 is talking about Takazi says that because it's balanced to not pull money from people. That's Pokemon, right? And Super Gamecast says you should have been on this one. That's true. I guess it's not too late if you wanted to get on an audio call or something, maybe on Discord. But now we're coming to the end. We're 42 minutes in. We're going to end it. So that's it. Did anyone else have anything else to say? This is complete crap. Competitive advantages in competitive games are crap. Hiding behind loot boxes is crap. Making people play 53 games to unlock Luke Skywalker is crap. How many games? Making them play 16 games to get 1 loot crate is crap. Getting people to pay for it is crap. Letting people play as Darth Vader in the preview and then taking that away is crap. Doing all of this in a full-priced game, that's crap. Reducing it by 75% is still crapping in your mouth, but there's 75% less of it. Kazi says, our advantage is okay if it's a grind, but not a pay-to-win, like Pokemon. That's a great question. I've never played Pokemon, so I'll leave that up to you. Pokemon, that never seems to be a problem. Why? Maybe because Pokemon is initially is the majority of it is based around offline single player play. But Super Game Guy says, I have no issue with that because then it's a bad gameplay system if not implemented well. And he also said, yeah, anytime loot boxes are anything but cosmetic, utter garbage. Absolutely. Like, put the loot boxes in if you want. I have no problem with how Overwatch does it. I think it's totally fine. I don't care about... Maybe if I cared more about cosmetics, I would be more into it, but it's just a fun little thing. It should be the thing on top. For 2 reasons, you need to have it that way. 2 reasons Overwatch works. Number 1, it doesn't upset the competitive balance, which Blizzard actually takes seriously, unlike EA. I'm going to say that DICE probably wants it to be serious too, but EA doesn't care. It's all psychological mind game for them. And the other reason is that they're selling you the game, and the cosmetics are all extra. It's all window dressing. It's not Huh. All right, so Kazi was saying the competitive is optional for Pokemon. So yeah, it's an optional thing. You don't buy a Pokemon game. I wouldn't think that the majority of people buy a Pokemon game and they're not buying it just for the reason of like, I can't wait to go play competitive. Maybe that is a great part of it, but I would say that the majority of Pokemon owners want to play that story and collect their Pokemon, and the competitive part is a bonus. Corey says, the thing with loot boxes in Overwatch is you can use the coin to buy the cosmetic items as well, so even if you don't pull it, use the gold you get from the loot boxes to get what you want. True. From the loot bozes. From the loot bozes. I love when somebody goes to correct it and it's the same one. That's it. We've seen maybe a precedent set. EA was trying to set the wrong precedent, and the fans and Reddit and 396,000 downvotes changed that precedent. This, even though this is bad in so many ways, today was a big victory. That people can speak out in big numbers, and you can make one of the biggest companies make a huge change hours before the deadline. When has this ever happened? Never. This specific situation. So this is a wonderful thing. As bad as those loot boxes are. That's right, Kazi. Death to micro. Super Game Guy says, now people just have to care about net neutrality as much as this. Oh my God. I think that, has the Imperial March ever fit anyone as good as it fits EA at this moment? But they're Imperial marching backwards. They're trying to take backwards little steps. All right, it's a victory. It's a great thing. Everyone gets a free loot box based on this. I'm going to come back and stream some Legend of Dragoon. So look forward to that. My name is Matt Falvey. We do Game Think Talk every week where we talk about gaming issues, news, reviews. Super Gamecast 64 writes and does news and opinions on our site at 90skid.com. We have lots of great writers on that site that do movie reviews, game reviews, news. I write on there as well, different opinions. This channel streams a bunch of games. Right now we're streaming Legend of Dragoon. We're streaming Final Fantasy X-2. Even though I hate that game, we're going to get through it. And we're streaming Assassin's Creed 2, and then we're eventually going to get to Lost Odyssey, Tales of, Kingdom Hearts. Super Gamecast 64 is going to be playing Skyrim VR in 45 minutes. Little Dorket reminds us that, remember, it's only temporary. You're absolutely right. We're going to see what they do, and they could go multiple different ways that we've already covered, and Aru says a victory. So that's it for me. We are going to be, oh my God, I just got an email from GamesPlanet.com. Star Wars Battlefront 2, save £6 on it. Anyways, I'm going to come back until, yeah, Kazi's saying until that Belgium investigation is over. So I'm going to be back in about 5 or 10 minutes with some Legend of Dragoon. Thanks everybody for joining me, and I'll see you later. Okay? Bye for now.